What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a little bit of a look at Sanctum. That's right, it is time to look at the top 10 cards from Sanctum, though do please remember that when we're doing these new top 10 lists, we are looking at Age of Ascension only. Maybe at some point in the future we'll combine the two houses to do a top 10, but that's not today, ladies and gentlemen. That's not today. Shout out as we get going to all of the people in the Facebook group who did help me out of my poll. I was very happy, and I'm loving the poll results lately. People are on it in terms of what are the best cards. I've changed a couple down around at the bottom end as I tend to do, but certainly at the top end I'm in pretty much complete and utter agreement. Now also quick shout out to the ambassadors. We'll use Mars Ambassador because, you know, Mars best house. 1 power creatures with elusive, and when you fight or reap, you may play or use. Well, for Mars Ambassador, it's a Mars card, but then again, it could be Untamed Ambassador, and it would be an Untamed card. You get to either play or use one of the cards from one of your other two houses, maybe both if you're really lucky. They're kind of fun, they're kind of good. I don't think they're worthy of being in the top 10. But in at number 10, someone that is ROTHAIS the Fierce, a 4 power, 2 armor creature. That's pretty beefy, beefier than average, especially the armor. With taunt, so you cannot attack its neighbours, you have to attack it, unless of course the neighbours have taunt. And it's got Hazardous 4, which does 4 damage to the attacking creature before the fight. So let's work through a couple of examples here to show how silly this can be. If a 2 power creature attacks this, then the armor completely stops the damage and Hazardous will destroy the 2 power creature. Only joking, because the armor never even gets there. Any creature with 4 power or less doesn't even get to touch ROTHAIS. Gets destroyed before the fight even happens. If a 6 power creature attacks ROTHAIS the Fierce, then Hazardous 4 comes in. Now, unfortunately, the 6 power creature will destroy ROTHAIS, but then the 4 power destroys as well. Any 8 power or less creature attacking ROTHAIS the Fierce will go down. But any 4 power or less goes down before the fight even happens. That's pretty fun. In at number 9, ABOND the ARMORSMITH. A 3 power creature that doesn't have any armor himself, he's too busy making armor for other people, but it gives all of your other creatures +1 armor, and has an action that for the remainder of the turn gives all of your other friendly creatures +1 armor. So on a Sanctum turn, or any turn you're allowed to use it, all of a sudden you're sitting there rocking +2 armor on all of your creatures. Yeah, that's going to help you survive a few fights. In at number 8, Martyr's End. This is another one of these. It's kind of awkward, but it could get you a bunch of amber, so it's definitely worth putting on the list. Now, the good news is it does give you an amber bonus before you even get going, so you're definitely getting a minimum 1 amber. But you are then allowed to destroy any number of friendly creatures, gaining 1 amber for each creature destroyed in this way. Now, what would be lovely here is being able to destroy all of your creatures, getting a whole bunch of amber, and then winning the game straight away. Certainly, if you're able to use something like a key charge, maybe with the aforementioned Untamed Ambassador, then playing Martyr's End to destroy all your creatures and then key charge, well, all but the Ambassador, obviously. You need to keep him around and either fight or reap. But then doing that to play a key charge would be kind of fun. Then you got all those combos with stuff like Dust Imp, when it's destroyed you gain 2 amber. Or Brend the Fanatic, when it's destroyed you steal 3 amber. And you've got yourself a card which first of all can just generate a whole bunch of amber. But secondly, you can get your creatures off the board, which sometimes you're actually really going to want to do. In at number 7, we've got Prince DERRIC. Unifier. Prince DERRIC Unifier, 4 power, 1 armor, and when you play it, you gain 3 amber if you control creatures from 3 different houses. Now, I'm afraid I'm going to have to mention the ambassadors again here, because being able to use the ambassadors actually really helps. I mean, there are some fun combos like using the Logos ambassador to allow you to play a helper bot, then using a helper bot to play a creature from your 3rd house, and then playing Prince DERRIC to get the free amber because you've got 3 different houses. It's not always going to work, and we're going to see this pretty much exact point coming up fairly higher up the list. You're not always going to be able to get creatures from 3 different houses, and if you can't, you can't. But if you can, you gain 3 amber, and that's huge. And even if you can't, 4 power, 1 armor, it's not phenomenal, but it's decent, and it's above average, and it's a decent creature that will help. So I'm not saying this is some kind of wonderful uber creature, but I am saying it's going to be fairly helpful, even if you don't get the skill working. In at number 6, we've got HAEDROTH'S Wall. It is an artifact that gives each friendly flank creature +2 power. Cool. Well, hang on a second. How come Lion Baltram doesn't make the top 10 list when Lion Baltram is sitting here with Deploy, giving each of his neighbours +2 power? How is that fair? The reason is it's much easier to get rid of creatures than it is to get rid of artifacts. Honestly. We got all kinds of stuff like Coward's End, like Free Fates, like Life for a Life. I could keep going, but you get the point. There's a whole bunch of action cards out there that can just remove creatures. And even if you don't play them, you can just fight it. A 5-power creature will take down Lion Baltram. So it's good, but just having an artifact sitting there is really nice. The other thing you can do with HAEDROTH'S Wall, which I absolutely love, is stash a creature on one flank. And remember, when you play creatures, you put them down on either side of the battle line, so you just continually put creatures down on the other side of the battle line. So you've essentially got one creature on one side that stays on the side and just gets beefed up. Might I suggest Panpacker Anger? Reason, very simply, is all of the creatures to the right of Panpacker Anger get +2 power. So leaving it on one side to get +2 power while giving +2 power to your other creatures, you know, it's going to give you a much beefier battle line in the long run. In at number 5, Barrister Joya. Now, this was revealed early on one of the FFG streams, and I was in love with it. It's a 5-power, 1-armor creature, which is pretty beefy, and it says that enemy creatures cannot reap. That's great! Like, just stops them reaping. We've got a whole bunch of stuff out there like Zyzizic Shockworm that stuns you when you reap. But this just stops enemy creatures reaping, and only enemy creatures. It's wonderful. So why does it only come in at number 5? Too easy to get rid of. The thing is, yes, 5 power is above average, but there's no elusive here, so you can attack it with one creature and take it out, like we said with Lion Baltram. And the fact of the matter is, we've got too many creatures and too many cards that can just take this out. And it doesn't have any inbuilt protection like elusive. I'm not saying it's a bad card. I am in fact saying it's a very good card. It is in fact the 5th best Sanctum card. But by the same token, I am saying it's not some kind of amazing, brilliant, uber, unstoppable card. It is a very good card, which I think is too easy to counter to justify putting it any higher. In at number 4, the Grey Rider. 2-power creature, no armor, no elusive, pretty gosh darn weak, but it does have that new deploy keyword skill that lets you put it down anywhere you like on the battle line. And when you play it, or fight with it, or reap with it, you may ready and fight with a neighbouring creature. Though do remember the rule, you ready it, and if there is something to fight, you have to fight. If there's nothing to fight, it's just ready, and then you can reap or use an action if it's got one, etc. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And the great thing here is it's play, fight, or reap, so even though it's a very, very weak creature, you will always get some benefit of it. Barrister Joya goes down, your opponent just destroy it and start reaping. That's not the case with the Grey Rider. And that's one of the things I love about it so much. You'll go in and get some benefit from it. And I know that some of you out there have got decks with 2 or 3 or even more Grey Rider, and you've seen how great this can be. When I was in Birmingham for the UK Games Expo, Josh, one of my co-commentators, was running around with, I want to say a double Grey Rider deck. Might have been no, we had a double Grey Rider deck that he had there, but he had a triple at home that he didn't have with him. There we go. And the point is that he was just getting off 2 extra attacks per turn, except he was often clearing the battle line and then getting off 2 extra reaps per turn. It's a bit redonk, ladies and gentlemen. In at number 3, fittingly enough, Free Market. That was not even planned. When you play it, you gain 1 amber to a maximum of 6 for each house represented among cards in play except for Sanctum. Now really here you're maxing out at 5, and the ideal situation here is your opponent's free houses are not the same as either of your free houses. And they've got all of their free houses down, and you've got your other 2 houses down, and that will make 5, and you'll gain 5 amber. Bearing in mind, when we did our top 10 list of Sanctum from Call of the Archons, and Sanctum was not great in Call of the Archons, number 1 was Virtuous Works. And Virtuous Works gives you 3 amber. This can give you 5. Now, there's going to be plenty of turns it gives you 1, 2... I mean, you'd like to think it would give you at least a couple. But it might not, unfortunately. That's why it's not some kind of uber amazing. I mean, if it just gave you 5 amber every turn, it would be number 1. As it stands, it's a really good card, but it's not guaranteed. It's not always going to work. It's not always going to give you maximum value. Hopefully, you've got your other 2 houses out, and then you're getting 2 amber. And incidentally, it doesn't have to be creatures. It could be creatures. It could be artifacts. It could be upgrades. It needs to be those kind of things. It can't be a card that you've played and it's gone away. It needs to be a creature, artifact, or upgrade that's actually sitting out there on the board. But like we saw with Prince DERRIC, it's not always going to be easy to have all 3 of your houses represented. If you do, this gets you 2 amber, plus whatever other houses your opponent's got out. But it's just not always going to work. In at number 2, Aubade the Grim. And if you've played against Aubade the Grim, you'll probably understand why he's so high. 4 power, 1 armor creature. When you play it, you capture 3 amber. Now the thing about capturing amber is it's good. We've seen Charette captures 3 amber when played. We've seen Old Bruno captures 3 amber when played. So why is Aubade the Grim so much better? Well, first of all, it's a bigger, beefier, bulkier character. Old Bruno, 3 power, 0 armor. Charette, 4 power, 0 armor, though Old Bruno does have elusive. But the big difference here is that when you reap, you discard an amber from Aubade the Grim. Now that's huge because the general rule of Keyforge is when a creature is destroyed or otherwise removed from the battlefield, any amber on it, however it was put there, goes to the opposing player. And we've seen this a million times with cards like Charette and Old Bruno. You play it down, you capture 3 amber, but then at some point your opponent destroys it, gets the 3 amber back, and if you're really unlucky, play something like a key charge to just forge a key there and then so you don't get to try and stop them. Kind of annoying. The thing with Aubade the Grim is you can be discarding the amber from it, so your opponent is on a clock. If they can't destroy Aubade the Grim before you've been able to reap all the amber off it, they don't get their amber back. It's not stealing because you don't get the amber, but it's making your opponent lose it, and that's kind of hilarious. But in at number 1, it's Proclamation 346E. And I get the feeling that if you've played with enough Age of Ascension, and I was lucky because the weekend it came out, I was in Birmingham and I played so much Keyforge. It was awesome. You'll understand why Proclamation 346E is number 1. While your opponent does not control creatures from 3 different houses, their keys cost plus 2 amber. It stops your opponent forging, but there's so many reasons this is particularly good. Something like Lash of Broken Dreams, and yes, we've seen decks with, say, 2 or 3 Proclamation and a Lash, but Lash of Broken Dreams is an action. So you've got to wait for a turn because it goes down exhausted, and then you've got to have a dis turn to use it. Whereas Proclamation 346E goes down, it's immediately working, and it's there every turn. But the other thing is, you can really manipulate this in your favour. So let's say your opponent does have creatures from 3 different houses down. Well, all you need to do is get rid of 1 house worth of creatures, and it's rare they're going to have multiple from every house. So generally, you can get rid of 1 creature, and their keys will then cost +2 amber to forge. Now, they're going to be able to just play down another creature soon, but that's fine. Because firstly, let's say they've got no Mars creatures out. Well, they've got to have a Mars turn, and if they don't have a Mars turn and play a Mars creature, their keys will cost +2 to forge. And maybe they don't want to take a Mars turn, or maybe they don't have a Mars creature in hand. But the other thing is you forge at the beginning of your turn. So let's say they do want to play Mars, and they do have a Mars creature. They go to forge, my keys cost +2, I can't forge. Well, they can then immediately play down a Mars creature, and fine, now their keys cost the regular amount. Next turn, when they're allowed to forge again, you've still stopped them forging this turn. It is a card that will stop a lot of people forging a lot of keys, and it thoroughly deserves its place in at number 1. But I'd like to know what your favourite Sanctum cards are from Age of Ascension, so go on, let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Keyforge and a whole bunch of other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.